How committed are the American people to a democratic government? Looking towards to the 2020 election, will we protect our democracy? I do not take pleasure in pointing out the failures of our president. However, I do feel it is my obligation as an American citizen to show how he is unfit for that position. I'd like to focus on three main points. First, his failure to uphold the rule of law, his abuses of power, and how his leadership is a clear and present danger to the American people. First, what separates dictatorships from democracies are the rule of law and how it's applied. There are three fundamental principles that our nation was founded on. The first being that no one is above the law, including the president. However, Trump believes that any investigation into his wrongdoing is presidential harassment. He has refused to respond to lawful subpoenas during the impeachment inquiry, and he also fired the FBI director that was investigating him and obstructed the special counsel investigation at every turn. Those charged for wrongdoing, the second principle is those that are charged for wrongdoing must be independent from politics. Trump has openly called for the investigations into Hillary Clinton, James Comey, Andrew McCabe, all those that he considers his public enemies. Before the 2018 election, Trump criticized Jeff Sessions for the indictment of two Republican House of Representative members because of the effect it would have on the upcoming election. Lastly, there must be a separation between the executive and the judiciary branches of government. Trump has openly ridiculed and attacked any judge who has disagreed with him. He attempts to delegitimize rulings of judges appointed by previous administrations. So much so that John Roberts in the Supreme Court felt necessary to make a public statement that we do not have Obama judges or Trump judges, and that the independent judiciary is something that we should all be thankful for. Second reason Donald Trump is unfit to be a president is because of his abuses of his power. He abused his power for his own political gain and deprived the American people of a free and fair election. He asked a foreign government to investigate his potential political opponent, and withheld government funding and a White House meeting, which is something that they both desperately needed. Another abuse of his power is seeking out revenge to officials that speak out against him. Michael Atkinson was recently fired as the Inspector General for bringing the whistleblower report to Congress. He has made public statements to intimidate those who have testified against him, and Alexander Vindman and his brother, both decorated Army officers, were fired because of Alexander and testifying during the impeachment hearings. And lastly, Trump's attack of the freedom of the press is an abuse of his power. He demonizes the members of the press as the enemy, as scum, as sick people, and as fake news. The Washington Post has been critical of the president's actions, and Trump instructed the Postmaster General to double shipping rates on Amazon, which would increase costs for the CEO, Jeff Bezos, who also owns the Washington Post. Trump personally tried to block the merger of AT&T and Time Warner to punish CNN for their critical coverage as well. Lastly, yesterday, every minute, an American died because of the coronavirus. The coronavirus is not Trump's fault. However, his slow response to this pandemic has ultimately added to the amount of lives that will be lost. This shows that Trump's leadership is clearly a present danger to the American people. Trump ignored the warnings of the coronavirus after he had fired the pandemic team that was put in place by the previous administration to help prepare us for situations like a pandemic. He and his administration downplayed the virus, and some referred to it as a Democratic hoax. His lack of leadership and misinformation has confused the response and limited the ability for state officials to set policies that could have saved American lives. His lack of leadership also limited the ability for local governments to prepare for the virus. States were bidding against each other for orders for the life-saving equipment that they desperately needed. In the end, the choice is ours. Will we hold this president accountable? Will we protect the American democracy? The fact of the matter is, if a president fails to uphold the rule of law, abuses his power, and his leadership is a direct danger to the American people, clearly he is unfit for his position.